So the amount is the equivalent of the number of stars in 4 Milky Ways, and that's just Sydney. If you look at the numbers below, you can see the size of the market overall. And we deal primarily with a lot more of the international market than we do of the domestic. The scale of this means that we're creating SKUs at an incredible number, and that's really what this project is about. So, we developed a strategy about 3 years ago, and at its core were 4 basic blocks. Flight Centre was in supplied content from suppliers. It didn't host its own. It didn't know who its customers were. It didn't know what its consultants' experience was. So we designed a system where basically over a period of 3 years we were creating 4 core elements. One was the product element, where we pulled together all of our suppliers' content into a single database, currently sitting close to about 150 million different SKUs. In addition to that, we've pulled the customer data together, and Jeremy will cover some of the work that we've been doing with CRM and marketing automation. Our consultants, we knew everything about when we employed them, how much we paid them, but we didn't actually know where they'd been, and that was pretty important to help the customer. So we've been building all of these frameworks, integrating into a new finance system that will give us a lot more enriched data. And then only then are we now facing the interfaces that we need. And those interfaces are built primarily around assisting the consultant. In our business model, we believe that people are the differentiator to the online travel offering. And so the importance of how we support and build for those consultants is crucial to our business model. The first thing that we did was organize it. And you can imagine with over 100 different suppliers with thousands of different SKUs, every single supplier had a different way of organizing it. So we've designed our own. An example would be everyone's familiar with a 5-star hotel room, but no one knows what a 5-star coach tour looks like. So we've had to define that for our database. So organizing the data before we touched databases, before we touched any of the data itself, was about how you structure it. How do you make sure that you have the standards within the organization? Within the company itself, there was a huge amount of different silos that had different approaches to data. So that's now been established. It's a very thick document, and it's being inculcated through the change management throughout the company. The next thing that we did working Komosion and Flight Centre together is to identify in this marketing wheel where the strengths and weaknesses were. We found that there were huge gaps in competency. Jeremy has joined us from Caesars, and for Flight Centre this is a big step up in the standard and calibre of competency that we have in that. We've done the same in the digital space, we've done the same in other areas, but really looking at where are the strengths and weaknesses. And using this wheel is a good way to really have a think about where that lay. The next, we started to organize the data. And the first thing, this is just an example of the complexity we've gone through. And this is for the more technically minded. We thought we'd have a slide for you. So this is the building of the product catalog. What we did is firstly took all the suppliers' content. We normalized that and identified what the components were in each of the APIs. And we put that through transformation. Sorry, the transformation is taking a little while. And in the transformation, what we began to do is to identify from each of the suppliers what was accommodation, what was touring, what was day tours and so forth. And all of those were pulled together, if I can get this to... Thank you. Through a feed manager, we then put it through an ETL layer. Must be a long wire between here and there. We clustered then all of them together. We standardized the format. We normalized those. We then took that data through to the next phase, which was pulling all the images and so forth out of them. We gave them all unique IDs, which are our own, and benchmarked against the rest. And then put it through to create a golden record, which is coming any moment now. Thank you. The golden record is then our record of all the data. We take that through to then a standard database, which we've called our core database. In the core database is where all the curation occurs. So in that data, we are basically manually adding, or through a set of business rules, normalizing different suppliers' content. That then goes through to additional editing, linking images, and curation. Thank you. What's unique with this system is it also integrates to all of our publishing, web and print. And so we're able to, using the publishing, make sure that any changes that we're doing in any of the systems comes back to the database. At this point, we then take it out to all the publishing platforms, and it's available then for documentation, for the web to publish this. It's also available for the consultants for their point of sale and any print material that we're doing. So this process is just the work that we've done on the data for the product catalog. And we've done similar work on the customer and the consultants to pull it all together. And if we can get to the end of this slide. In addition, we've built the analytics piece in the base so that pulls it all together, and the CRM integrates into this system itself. So as you can see, it is a complex system, but it gives us control all the way through to create a massive database for ourselves of just the product thing. And as I say, we're doing a similar piece of work for the customer and for the consultant.